Hi world, it's 11:15, it's Sunday morning, the 22nd of November 2015. The Sun is at 29 degrees of Scorpio. The Sun is at 29 3/4 degrees of Scorpio, and we're basically at the very end of Scorpio. And I want to talk about 29 degrees of Scorpio because it's weird. In this last 18 hours, I've experienced a lot of frustration, irritation and impatience, things not happening, things feeling a little bit irritable and frustrated. And the thing is, I've found this before with 29 Scorpio. Over the years and even in the decades, I've found that when planets are at 29 degrees of Scorpio, there is something very frustrating, irritable, cantankerous, irascible, that just makes for a sense of feeling blocked or held back by circumstances outside of one's control. It's not like the influence of Saturn, it's just as if you're banging your head against a brick wall. Yet, at the same time, obviously, there's a lot of people born today with the Sun at 29 of Scorpio. I've got a lot of people on my books with the Ascendant at 29 of Scorpio, more than you would think would be average. I've also got people with the Moon or Venus or Mars at 29 of Scorpio. And these people don't show any signs of this type of difficult or challenging behaviour. So I'm faced with the inevitable conclusion that people with planets at 29 of Scorpio have a very different relationship with that degree than the world does when planets are moving at 29 degrees of Scorpio, i.e. the transits of planets in the sky, the ongoing movement is a very different experience to people born with it in their natal horoscopes and thus in their natal personalities. Often I find that people born with the Sun or Moon at 29 degrees of Scorpio often have a very, very deep and penetrative insight into both their own and human behaviour. And Scorpio, more than any other sign, seems to show its strongest qualities in the very first degree, 0 degrees, and the very last degree, 29 degrees, unlike most other signs, which is at its strongest in the middle of the signs. I also know from my own experience that when the Moon is at 29 degrees Scorpio, once every 27, 28 days, once or twice a year, I'll have one or two bad dreams, and more often than not, that's when the Moon is at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Now the Sun's there, and as I say, in the last 12, 18 hours, I've experienced quite a level of mild irritation and frustration at just the world and my own inability to relate to it and get on with it. And every year I see this and I think, yes, must remember next year not to book anything for when the Sun's at 29 Scorpio, yet I always do. So I'd be fascinated to know if other people have experienced similar hold-ups or delays or frustrations, both at this time and at other times when planets are at 29 degrees of Scorpio. The next ones to be there after today will be the Moon in about 2 weeks' time, and then Venus in about 4 weeks' time, and Mars won't be at the end of Scorpio till March, but I'll be watching that one big time. And it's a weird one because Scorpio is always the sign that's most commonly associated with psychology, in-depth analysis, penetrative understanding at a very basic and fundamental level underneath the boards, the wiring underneath the boards. So 29 to Scorpio, I don't buy into the old astrological terminology of there being fated degrees. As I said in my video on Serpentis a couple of weeks ago, you cannot have one particular degree that is called fated. Similarly, there's other degrees that are allegedly fated, like 29, for example, of Taurus, the opposite of where the Sun is today. 29 Taurus is where the Pleiades are. Similarly, there's 29 degrees of Leo, which is where Regulus is. That's supposed to be one of the most beneficial degrees of the zodiac. This comes from the Arab astrology from about the 5th through to the 9th, 10th century, where much of the star lore that we still use today, or some astrologers still use today, has its origins. And obviously the Moorish Arabs used this they developed this over a period of 500 years, so there's a lot of observation and calculation went into it. But it has changed in the last millennium, and I do believe we've worked on it. And as more modern insights into contemporary astrology, plus the use of more planets, have become commonplace, so I believe that the influence of some of these star positions or specific degrees has waned. Nevertheless, 29 degrees of Scorpio. I'll be well glad when the sun moves into Sagittarius. That's going to be in a few hours' time. I think it's going to be, what time is it now? It's about 11 o'clock. It's about 4 hours from now. So I think I'm going to go for a shower and cut my hair and have a shave and make myself feel refreshed at the moment the sun moves into Sagittarius. And that's no disrespect to Scorpio, but 29 degrees of Scorpio. It's like getting a wash and brush up with a stiff brush. It really gets you going in a way that's not particularly pleasant, but that needs to be done every year to make sure that you're working inside psychologically well. On that note, Sunday sermon over. Catch you tomorrow for the week ahead. Bye.